start out. I got a question to start out. Hello, everyone. I'm Christine Schiavone, and our show is Spiritual Exploration. Tonight, I have a most welcome guest who's been on my show many times, but not for a while. And his name is Geozuwa. And we're going to talk about Beyond the Other Side. Now, I didn't know that there was a Beyond the Other Side. So my first question is going to be to Geozuwa, who I would like everybody to see and meet and say hello.
Hi, Christine.
Hi.
Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure. You know that.
Thank you.
Anyway, though, but my question is, what is beyond the other side? I mean, we know that there's another side.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully that's where we get to see God.
Well, Christine, I can tell you that the favorite answer that I give everyone, all my students, is infinite possibilities.
I've heard that expression.
Infinite possibilities. And then I'll go through some of those possibilities. So I was originally going to talk about the other side first and then move into what's beyond the other side.
All right.
Instead of jumping right into it.
You want to start with?
I think so. I think that would have an easier flow because then, you know, what most people know of as the other side, let's say heaven, for example.
Right.
Now and I've been on here plenty of times speaking about the multiverse. You know, there's not just infinite possibilities, but there's infinite realities. There's infinite sets of infinite realities. There's infinite timelines.
And we don't find out about that till we're in spirit?
No, you can find out about it right now. Here I am telling you.
Good.
And then if you're raising your frequencies and vibrations, if you're evolving your soul, if you're moving towards ascension, you're going to have that knowledge, that wisdom is going to come to you. The downloads, you have all the information, you have all the knowledge and wisdom of the entire universe, of the entire multiverse, which is infinite, eternal. You have all that information within you. It's in your cells, your atoms, it's in your DNA. You have it all. It's just a matter of accessing it.
Is doing good things in this world, helping people, helping animals, helping Mother Earth,
Absolutely.
Evolving our soul and getting us closer to heaven?
Correct. And of course, one of the big things is forgiveness. One of the big things is letting go and moving beyond karma.
One of the
karmic
most
contracts.
difficult things to do sometimes.
For some people it is, but it's one of the most important things. One of our most powerful healing tools is forgiveness. You forgive anyone and everyone for anything they've ever done, and most importantly, you forgive yourself. When you forgive yourself, you absolutely free yourself of any negative karma. When you free others from any negative karma, I mean, you really expand your awareness beyond measure.
You can forgive someone in your heart, but you don't have to associate with that person anymore.
Correct.
If you feel that they're not there for your highest good.
Correct. So one of the misconceptions, well, there's some misconceptions about forgiveness. Some people think that you have to tell the person that you forgive them, you know, invite them over for tea or coffee.
Don't.
Absolutely not.
You don't have to associate with them. You don't have to tell them anything. You just have to do it in your heart, and you know, and that's all that's important.
Yes. So, you know, there's an expression like forgiveness is for you. When you forgive others, that forgiveness is for you. You don't have to tell them, but it's healing for you. But I'm going to take it a step further, of course. When you forgive, you're actually making the world a better place. When you forgive others, when you free others of any negative karma, when you forgive yourself, you are making the world a better place. You're lifting and raising the frequencies and vibrations of the entire world, the entire universe. And it goes across the multiverse as well.
Before you forgive, is it okay to let the person know what they did?
It depends. It's a case by case.
Oh, I see.
Sometimes you let a person know what they did, or if you have the perception of it being wrong, or they've wronged you in some way. Sometimes, especially if you're dealing with someone who's delusional, if you're dealing with someone who is a sociopath or a psychopath or a sociopathic narcissist, when you're dealing with someone like that, they couldn't care less. They're not going to understand, and they're not going to care. So if you point out something that they've done, they'll get even angrier, perhaps, and do more to, let's say, destroy
Was
your
it
life.
possible that they will say, "Oh my goodness, I didn't realize I hurt this person so badly, blah, blah, blah. I think that yes, I was wrong."
Possibly a healthy-minded person, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the key words there are healthy-minded person. Because if
It's hard to tell, though.
well, you get an idea. You get an idea, especially if you're dealing with someone for a long period of time. But if you're dealing with a sociopathic narcissist, yes, a lot of times they're good at hiding who they are, but it comes out, especially when they're caught. They're caught in their lies or their manipulation, then they switch gears and they're no longer pretending to be that nice, sweet person, and they're destroying your reputation all around.
Well, what if they're not being a nice, sweet person, and you decide after a while, yeah, I think I want this person to know what went wrong and what they did, and so you let them know in one way or another, and then you move on. And
Well, that could be
if
for
they
you, and
turn
that
around
might,
and apologize or something, or all the better. And if
Of
they
course.
don't, well, then you're saying they're admitting their guilt and move on.
of course, and that works beautifully when it comes to a healthy-minded person. If you're dealing with, again, a sociopathic narcissist or a psychopath, you're never going to get closure. If you want them to know just for yourself, beautiful.
Right.
But the key thing is to forgive, because once you forgive, you free yourself to heal on every level. Forgiveness gets rid of cancer, it gets rid of anxieties, it gets rid of everything when you do it right.
Yeah.
Of course, I prefer to do that in a deep state of hypnosis. You're covering every angle, every base of the effects of whatever that damage or trauma
In a
was.
deep state of hypnosis, are you forgiving during being in that state?
Yes, absolutely.
And you think that's easier to do
As opposed to what?
as opposed to not being in that state?
Well, it all depends. It all depends on the individual. So you could say on the conscious level where we're communicating right now, you can say, well, I do have to forgive, or you can go through the motions and say, I forgive, and you could feel it. But when you do it with your subconscious mind, when you do it in a deep state of hypnosis, you're making sure you're covering all bases of that trauma, all bases of what needs to be forgiven. And when you do that, in the subconscious, because that's where your programming is. So on the conscious level, you can say, "Oh, I wanna lose weight, or I wanna quit this, or I wanna change a habit," and even if you have great willpower, you're moving towards it. But it's not. It's most of the time it's not going to work. But when you do something in a deep state of hypnosis, you can have permanent change like this.
And you can come out of it a different person almost.
Absolutely.
What about, though, when you say to yourself, doesn't everybody know that whatever it is, no, nothing in particular, but is something you really shouldn't do to another person, or you shouldn't hurt an animal, or you shouldn't,
Of course.
you know what I mean?
If we're talking about the main thing is the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
That's right.
Treat others how you want to be treated.
That's right. Yes, absolutely.
That is one of the most important things, the golden rule.
That's right. That's right. So tell us now about the other side and what's beyond it.
Okay, so obviously the other side, if we're saying about heaven, when you pass from this world, a lot of people associate it with going through the tunnel, the bright light, and going on to the other side, and that's where your loved ones who've passed, and eternity, a blink of an eye, is 100 years here on Earth.
That's true.
And so your spirit guides, your guardian angels are there, and of course, in book that I wrote, The Other Side Visit Now, I talk about a lot of those experiences, and I, bring in clients to the other side. So a lot of psychics and mediums, can offer very valuable information and communicate with loved ones who've passed or your spirit guides. But what I love to do is bring someone into the deepest states of hypnosis, separate their mind from their body, and then guide their mind free of the physical to the higher states of awareness. Then through the tunnel, to the other side, to be face to face with their loved ones who've passed, face to face with their spirit guides, their guardian angels, ascended masters, and gain valuable information. A lot of times when I bring someone to the other side and then I bring them back, they come back with now this absolutely beautiful awareness of perfection, of a beautiful, perfect place where we come from and where we're going. And a lot of times they come back with amazing healing. Cancer gone, vision corrected.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's very powerful. And of course, there is no middleman. You're there face to face, just like we're sitting here face to face with your loved one. And a lot of times they embrace. It's a beautiful, beautiful experience.
With my mother many years ago.
Yeah.
We had a dream we embraced. I just want to mention, though, that I do communicate with my spirit guides with a pendulum.
Okay.
What do you think about that? They
Beautiful.
Can talk to me.
Of course. Now, so when you talk about someone like that, so you probably put in place certain parameters, protective measures, but a lot of times, so like with psychics, I know a lot of psychics are irresponsible when they see a person, maybe a person that they don't know, but they're picking up on something, some sort of energy or some sort of ailment or whatever it is, and they'll go and tell the person. Now, again, there's infinite possibilities, and a lot of times the psychic is picking up on someone else's energy. It could be that person was just on their phone with a relative that had certain bad news about something or an ailment, and when they hung up, they're thinking about it, and now a psychic is picking up on that energy, reading the aura, and they think it's coming from them. Or let's say you're in a cafe, and you just walk up to the counter, and someone that was there before you, their energy is still there, and they had an ailment, let's say something wrong with their knees, and then that person walks into that space, and the psychic is picking up on a knee issue when it's not actually that person's issue.
But does the person that walks into that space get a tinge in their knee?
They could. It's infinite possibilities. But now here's the damage that can be done with that is when you tell a person that, then they goes in, whether they believe it or not, it goes into their subconscious mind, and then it's very possible that it will manifest, and it can manifest in an infinite number of ways. Whether the person now leaves the cafe, falls down, and damages their knee, or whether they're focusing on, oh wow, that woman or that man, that psychic was telling me I have an issue with my knees. Now they're focused on it, and then they
start to develop an issue.
So here's the other thing. It's very, very important. Nothing is real. This world is not real. Nothing here is real. Everything is real. It's your choice. Reality is what you believe it is. Nothing is real. Everything is real. It's your choice. Knowing that, when someone says they have a back issue, it's not real.
Like I have a back issue.
That's why I said that. It's
and
not
a hip
real.
issue, but the hip was from a broken hip.
It's still not real. And it's very real. I'm sure you feel a little pain now and then.
When the weather is bad, if it's wet and rainy and all that kind of, I sometimes I have a hard time stepping down on the left side because of the hip being broken.
Yeah. So I'll bring up, let's say asthma. It's one of the examples I like to bring up is when a client comes to me and they fill out the intake form and they fill out that they have asthma. And they're not there specifically for asthma, I'll let them know that it's not a real thing. And as I'm deepening you in hypnosis and I give you healing suggestions, you accept those healing suggestions, even though we're not focusing on the asthma. When you emerge, it's very possible that you'll never have asthma again. It'll be completely gone.
Wow.
And when I say it's not real, people are born with asthma. People go to the doctor, they're diagnosed with asthma, prescribed medication and treatments, the inhalers and medication, you name it. And some people suffer their entire lives with asthma. Some people die from asthma. And here I am saying it's not real. Because nothing is real. Everything is real. It's your choice. So when I have someone in hypnosis, I can't even count the amount of people that after one session of hypnosis, they don't have asthma. And I'm talking about people that suffering their entire lives with asthma, gone. And in my 2-day workshop, people that the first day, it is gone and it never comes back.
Well, that's wonderful.
So I know none of this is real. And also at the same time, everything is real. It's your choice. So you have to choose. So I'll give you an example recently. Because reality, there's infinite sets of infinite realities. There's infinite timelines. Every possibility has already happened. Every possibility already exists. Why not choose the absolute best possibilities? There are no limitations except the ones that you place on yourself. So this woman in Georgia telling me that she's for several months, she's never had allergies, but now she has allergies, and for the last several months, every day, all day, she's sneezing, she's congested, she's suffering with allergies. Please help me. And I said, it's not real. And she goes, oh, but you please just help me get rid of it. I said, okay, when you are able to either come to Florida or New York, I'll do a private session with you. One session, it'll be gone. But now, now a couple of months pass and she's never able to make it, but she's suffering. And I tell her again, it's not real. She goes to the doctor, takes all these tests, all these allergy tests. The doctor says, you're not allergic to anything. The next day, no more sneezing, no more congestion, no more allergies. It's that simple.
It was just a suggestion of the doctor
That's
because he's a doctor and
of
he
course,
should know.
Yes. And that's a lot of times, doctors, they misdiagnose people all the time.
I've had that happen to me.
And when they misdiagnose, a lot of times where they say, oh, you have XYZ condition.
Yeah.
And they don't have it, they develop it.
Somebody told me I had asthma.
Mm-hmm.
It turned out to be pneumonia. The second doctor said pneumonia. And then so I didn't need the inhalers and I didn't need all the other stuff.
You didn't have asthma and you didn't have pneumonia.
Well, I did feel like I had something
It's
because...
not real, but you accepted it.
Well, I accepted it because I was feeling ill.
So I know we're going into all this, but
we're getting off the subject.
It's okay, but I'll tell you. So what your mind imagines, your body feels. What your mind imagines, your body realizes. If a doctor tells you you have something and it goes into your subconscious mind and you imagine that you have that condition, you develop that condition. It's just as easy and simple to just reverse it. Say, I have a perfect immune system. I remain healthy at all times. And please, those of you watching this at home, use that and believe. So when you're
just
saying
say it
it
to yourself.
But don't just say it. Feel it. Believe it. Expect it. Know it. Know it as absolute truth. My immune system is perfect and I remain healthy at all times. That's more than enough to never get sick. Now, if you do get sick, doesn't mean that your immune system's not perfect. If you do get sick or an ailment or something, it's just a sign. It's just a message that something in your life needs to be corrected. Whether you're worrying about something, whether you're focused on a negative thought pattern, a fear, guilt or shame, whatever it is, any negative thought pattern will manifest or can manifest very seriously in the physical body. What the mind imagines, the body feels. What the mind imagines, the body realizes. So if you're focusing on negative thought patterns, if you have the guilt or shame or trauma, it'll manifest in the physical.
So if you have like a pain in your stomach and you say, I think I have a tumor there, you can develop
a tumor. Absolutely. None of this is real.
Right.
Everything is real. It's your choice.
Do you think that if you bring the reality of being perfectly healthy, you'll live longer?
Yes. So we're talking about the other side. I'm going to tell you right now, for most of you watching this, you're probably in the timeline where you're not going to die. You're not going to pass on.
Not yet.
No, never.
Not ever.
Eternity begins now. So, again, infinite possibilities. There's infinite timelines, infinite sets of infinite realities. And right now, since we're in this, where we're sitting right now, and we're not in the same realities. Everyone in this studio is not in the same realities. But we are in an accelerated time of ascension. Now, the splits have already happened, where the denser realities are going denser, and the ascension timelines are ascending even higher. And so some of you will be in realities where you don't need technology or anything. You're going to automatically transition, even though this is physical. You will never pass away. Eternity begins now, and you'll have remembrance of everything.
What happens when it comes time for you to go to the other side? You don't pass away?
No, that's what I'm trying to tell
It's
you.
not just your soul, to hold your whole body and everything?
Everything. Again, none of this is real. So some of you will be in the infinite sets of infinite realities where it's technology, where you go into a healing bed or a healing pod and you regenerate. And when you regenerate to whatever age you want to be, let's say you get up to be about 90 years old and you want to now regenerate, you go into the pod, and all your cells, everything about you is now regenerated to, let's say, a 25-year-old version of you or a 30-year-old version of you.
Yeah, that would be
perfect
wonderful.
blueprint. Well, that technology exists already. You just haven't had access to it yet.
Mm-hmm.
But in these infinite sets of infinite realities, you have those, and there's infinite sets of infinite realities where those two timelines exist together. Those that will not need the machines, and then those that will need the machines.
What kind of machines?
Again, to regenerate. Healing pods, healing beds.
That are being brought about now that most people
We've
don't
already
even
had
know
them.
about it.
Yes. They've already existed. Forever.
And how do you get to them?
We'll find out, won't we?
Will we?
Yes, we will. But again, you don't need them. If you raise your frequency and vibrations, then to a level where you could regenerate yourself without any technology, and there are plenty of people that have done that before, ascended masters, Christs, Buddhas, they can do that and have done it and continue to do it. And you could dematerialize and materialize someone else. You could teleport. You could do that without technology. And then now there's others that will be doing it with technology.
What do you mean by dematerialism? In other words,
Teleport.
go somewhere else?
Correct. So now, I talk a little bit about it in my book, but when I'm out astral traveling or I'm out doing my healing work, and I get called somewhere in the physical world, those that called me many times see me as a physical presence in their space, giving them what they need, whether it's pure love, white light, healing energy, giving them a frequency or vibration that they need. They see me physically, and physical to the touch, even though I may be in Florida and I'm visiting someone.
In other words, you can just go somewhere else with your physical body being somewhere else.
Yes. But what I'm referring to now is actual teleportation, where your entire physical being will leave where you are now and go somewhere else.
And the person will see you as a physical being.
If we're talking about what I was just talking about,
seeing you as a physical.
Correct.
So how do I know you're not in Florida?
Well, funny you should ask that, because I am in Florida. I am all over the place, just as you are.
You're multi, what do they say, being able to be more than one place at one time.
Yes. And I'm able to do that, of course. It can be difficult as far as the physical, based on another person's belief system. Again, everything is real. Nothing is real. Nothing is real. Everything is real. It's your choice. Depending on your frequency and vibration, you'll be able to see me physically, and I can physically be there. But now if we're talking about remotely, like remote viewing, which I discern, I separate all of that, because I'm able to, even though I'm speaking to you right now, my eyes are open, I'm here in the studio, I can see, with my eyes open, I can still see where I'm staying right now in Staten Island. I can see what the cat's doing right now. I can see what the dog's doing
and where
in real
are
time.
They? In Florida?
No. I'm talking about where I'm staying in Staten Island.
The cat and dog.
Yes, the cat is in the chair right in front of the.
You brought them with you?
No, they're not mine.
Oh.
Where I'm staying.
Oh.
They're cat and dog.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
In other words, you're staying with a family.
Correct.
Oh,
Yes.
I see. I thought we were in a hotel or something.
I'm actually staying with the family that I referred to in the book. She was my sister in my last life.
Wow.
Yeah, and her children are my in my soul circle.
So tell me, if you are doing something where you have gone to another place, your physical body that you were born with is in Florida, you're somewhere else. Would you have the need to like eat or bathe or anything like that?
Well, I'll tell you right now, I take at least one shower a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, food. We do not need to eat.
When you're somewhere else.
No.
Oh, we don't need that. Period.
You do not need to eat.
Well, what about when you get real hungry?
You do not. It's a trick. So again, none of this is real. Everything is real. It's your choice. So there's infinite ways of never eating again and still maintaining a perfectly healthy body, healthy mind. We're not really here. So let's go through the infinite possibilities. Some of those possibilities. There are people, if you've heard of sun gazing, there are people that will stare into this. I stare into the sun for the first 30 minutes as it's rising. I go to the beach and I stare directly into the sun. The sun's energy goes through my eyes and energizes all the cells, and it gives me all the nutrients I need.
Does it hurt your eyes?
No, it doesn't.
You
actually
don't
have
need
better
sunglasses?
vision. No. Sunglasses are not healthy for the most part. No.
Really?
So you can get all your nutrition, all your sustenance just by staring into the sun.
Well, the sun is energy.
Correct. You can also use breath work. Qigong, breatharians, they can just use breathing to sustain their... there were yogis that were buried alive.
Oh, no.
For 40 days with no food, no water, dug up 40 days later. Now, think about this. No air. Perfect. They're alive, perfectly fit and healthy.
I would be claustrophobic, though.
Well, I don't recommend getting buried alive.
I don't either. And I hope it never happens.
So, and NASA has done studies where they've taken in yogis and 24/7 surveillance where the yogi doesn't drink, doesn't eat, doesn't go to the bathroom, perfectly fine.
Wow.
You have to bring
It
yourself.
doesn't breathe either.
You have to be in a state of knowing. So I'm not telling your audience to just stop eating. You have to be in a state of knowing. You have to believe it, expect it, know it. So earlier when I said what your mind imagines, your body feels. What your mind imagines, your body realizes. If you imagine that you are receiving all your sustenance just by taking in a deep breath in the morning, and you're receiving everything you need to sustain your physical living body, it's like this. You don't need to eat food.
Wow.
If you imagine yourself, so there's, I can go on with so many case studies and a lot of my clients and students where they go in for blood work and they say, well, you have this, you have that, you're deficient in XYZ. Just with their power of their thought, without taking any supplements, without doing anything, without getting surgery, they go back perfectly healthy. All the numbers are perfect.
Well, what about like a person has like high blood pressure and diabetes?
It's not real.
Once in a while I'll go to bed without my medication and say, I'll be just fine. I don't need this tonight. I did that last night.
Okay.
I woke up okay.
Okay, very good. Now, again, I'm not telling anyone not to take their medication.
Right.
But
I'm just saying, I do it once in a while. I don't do it all the time.
Well, I'm saying rule of thumb, none of this is real. And when you're in a state of knowing, you don't need medication. When you're in a state of knowing, you don't need to eat. Now, don't get me wrong. I enjoy eating. Do I have to eat?
Of
No.
course.
But you don't have to. That's why when people go through like the fear scenarios of like, world hunger, or, if they shut off the grid, if this goes down, all apocalyptic, scenarios. So what? You don't need food. But a lot of people have that fear base that if they don't have access to food or whatever, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, they're going to starve to death. You don't have to.
So you think that, like, for instance, people in like third world countries that really don't have that much access to food, they don't know where the next meal's coming from, can survive without it?
If they are in a state of knowing. If you're in a state of knowing, not just believing, not just expecting, but knowing you don't need food, knowing that you could sustain your physical living body just with your mind.
What about
energy.
Animals that are, like, for instance, there are like 40 million stray and feral dogs in China.
Okay.
How do these animals survive?
I don't know. You tell me.
I don't know. I'm
Okay.
asking you.
I'm sure they hunt or they get food somehow.
They must, I guess.
And or a collective that knows that they'll be okay, or that you pray or send energy to them. And then
They'll be able to survive.
Yes, and probably have a good living.
I hope so.
And then another thing is, if no one's observing them, they're not really there either.
Yeah, but how
And that
do
may
they,
go too
how
deep.
do they know there's that many there without counting them or observing them?
And that's the other thing. Infinite possibilities. There's infinite sets of infinite realities. Just because someone says something, like the media, or doesn't mean that it's actually true or real. By you listening to it, believing it, you're making it more so. That's why do not focus on the negative, and I would recommend don't watch the news.
Oh, I don't really usually.
Very good.
I don't. Only thing is that sometimes something comes up that you say, oh, I would like to know more about that. But it's rare for me.
As long as, listen, that's great if you want to learn more about something, but never accept what they are saying.
That's the truth. They lie a lot, too.
Of course they do. That's
They
their
do.
main function.
That's right.
The main function, the powers behind the powers, they want to keep this world dense. They want to
And
control
people watching.
God. They want to control creation. And by doing that, they feed off of your fear, anger, doubt, shame, guilt, trauma. They feed off of all those negative thought patterns. And that's why they continue to feed you with negative news,
What they
negative
want you to know.
scenarios, so that you continue to feed them and stay in a denser reality.
Well, we know that there's a lot of lies out there with the media, that's for sure.
History is not what you think it is.
Yeah, I
History
bet.
is all a lie. And you could see, like right now, like changing history right before your eyes.
Yeah.
So, with the other side, when I'm referring to going beyond the other side, so the other side, and I've had many experiences, and I still have experience with loved ones who've passed. One of the things that I feel people are ready for, hopefully a lot of your audience is ready for this, is to go beyond the other side, beyond. So how do I put it? I'll put it delicately. I don't know if I could put it delicately, but so for a lot of people, especially when they buy into karma, when they buy into certain religious dogma or practices, where even the reincarnation, stuff like that, when they buy into that, they contract and go into, especially with karma, and they go into the soul traps, where they're continuously recycled, and they go through that soul trap, the false other side, and come back in, forgetting everything, going through the whole process of pain and suffering, learning to evolve. And then what happens? Look at the negative world. Human beings, what do? They mess up.
They sure do.
And then, the guilt, and they're, oh, well, we had this, you hurt me in this life, so next life we'll switch roles and, reverse. And then they come back through to do the soul, the karmic contracts, where one of my favorite things to do is rip up those karmic contracts. You've suffered enough. There's no reason for it. So hopefully a lot of people that are watching this are ready to move beyond the other side and really accept their true, infinite, eternal, divine self. And
is that forever?
Eternal. Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, some people will be in this physical reality, will never die, whether it's through technology or whether it's through them evolving their soul to the higher levels, their frequencies and vibrations, their awareness, so that they're able to do that without the technology. That's one scenario, one possibility.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I was going to say, in other words, you're saying that they won't die. It's possible to just be who we are and continue on so through eternity as
Yes.
who we are.
Yes, absolutely. And then for a lot of people, you will remember all of your past lives at that point when you do regenerate, even with the technology. And of course, if you raise your frequencies to the higher levels and you're able to do that without the technology, you'll be able to access all the so-called physical lives that you had, because they're all happening now, all at the same time.
Well, my spirit guides tell me about how many lives here and how many there.
Okay.
And hopefully they're right, I guess. So, but go ahead, continue.
Okay. So you'll remember, and that's one of the scenarios out of all of these scenarios. And some people think that, well, why would I want to be stuck on Earth, and why would I want to be, this, whoever they are at that moment, and stuck on Earth? Why would you assume that you would be stuck on Earth?
In other words, you would ascend into another realm.
What I'm saying is, you'll have access to all of the realms. You'll have, the ones that do it without the technology will have more access to the other realms
Than the ones that do.
So the ones that use the technology will regenerate and they'll live forever, eternal, but they'll also be able to, they're not going to be stuck on Earth. There are so many other
Places
parallel Earths, other dimensions, other places that you'll be able to travel to. You don't have to be stuck on Earth.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. Once you get past all of this craziness, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah.
So moving beyond is now really accepting your true, infinite, eternal, divine self. And that is taking control of your soul completely, without any of the influence of any dark forces or outside forces.
What about animals?
And you don't
Can they do that?
And you don't get stuck in the loop of the false other side. You move beyond the matrix.
Right.
So for the most part, a lot of people are stuck in the actual matrix, where it's a closed system and a lot of people aren't getting out of it. But if you raise your frequency and vibrations to the highest levels, then you will move beyond it. You won't get stuck in that loop or that cycle. You'll have that awareness, and when the time comes, if you do pass, so now we're talking about a different scenario. If you do pass, you're not going to get fooled into going into that trap. You'll have the awareness, the frequency, the vibration, the energy,
about the soul.
The power to not go into that trap, but to move beyond it, to go to the real other side.
And that's the soul you're talking about.
Yes, the soul.
And what about animals? Now, can they, manifest themselves that way also? Or
It depends.
They might be I think they're very spiritual.
It depends on the reality that you're in, the frequency and the vibration of where you're asking from. So, absolutely. And there are plenty of animals that have tremendous awareness. And there's also a lot of times animals, your spirit guides will enter animals for either to give you a message or either to be a companion of yours. So yes, it all depends. So whatever you want the answer to be,
Yeah, it can be.
absolutely. Nothing is real. Everything is real. It's your choice. You are the creator. Knowing you're the creator, why allow the limitations? Why allow the back pain? Why allow the broken bones? Why not heal it? Why not correct it? Why not know with absolute certainty that your immune system is perfect and you remain healthy at all times? It's really that simple.
If I manage to, or anybody manages to go into what you were just saying.
Wait, which one?
Well, anything. Like for instance, I'm diabetic and I have high blood pressure.
Okay.
Okay.
Stop saying you have it.
Right, and to stop owning it, in other words.
Correct.
All right, fine. So can I end up going to a doctor, getting tested for all this stuff, and come out all negative?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I can never count the amount of times I've seen it, whether it's a client, a student, friends that I guide. Absolutely. I'll give you another example, and it has to do with realities as well. So, very big message that I received the other night when I was out astral traveling. Got a message of a something negative, right? The next day, that negative thing was there, and I was like, wow, okay, it came from that other reality. There it is. And it was from a darkness. And okay, so then that night I'm out astral traveling. I'm in alternate realities. And wait, a lot of your audience is crazy, right? So they'll accept what I'm saying?
I don't know. I run into people
Sometimes I sound very crazy.
But sometimes I run into people that recognize me, but I don't know if they're crazy or not.
So I'm out astral traveling, and I'm in alternate realities, and I'm told to remember things that I'm experiencing in those realities to bring it into this reality. And I've been saying this forever, and in all my workshops and with clients and stuff and friends, like, be careful what you think, be careful of how you perceive situations, be careful of how you perceive others, definitely never judge, but be careful, because what you perceive, what you think about, you are creating. And right now, because we're in an accelerated time of ascension, that creation is happening like this. So I received the message the other night, and it was just telling me about that negative situation that was for me to share, because reality is not what you think it is, and you are the creator. Be careful of your thoughts. Be careful of your words. Be careful of being around people that are toxic or negative. Conversation. If there's conversation and you're hearing that conversation that's going in, you're creating your reality from those words. So be careful. Definitely separate yourself from toxic people. Absolutely. So I'm sharing this with someone, and they're telling me about there's these little white bugs. Now, their whole life, I believe she's probably close to 50. And her whole life, she's never seen these bugs ever.
What kind of bugs?
These little white bugs. And she's describing to me on the phone, and she goes, "Have you seen these? Because they're out of nowhere, and they're everywhere." And
in her house?
No. Everywhere.
Oh.
Outside in the world.
Okay.
So, these little white bugs that are flying around, and I haven't, and I'm listening to her, so I hone in onto that frequency, and she goes, "Oh," and she goes, "Have you seen them?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm seeing them right now." And she goes, "Oh, what size?" And I said, "Well, there's all different sizes," and I'm honing in on what she's referring to, because they're really tiny, the ones that she's referring to. So, okay. So then later that day, I start walking, and I'm talking to someone, another student, and she's telling me about going to the dentist, and her and her husband, and all of these things that were basically, there's going to be like $50,000. It might be an exaggeration, but something like $50,000 worth of work. They were telling her, this is infected, that's infected, like her whole mouth, the teeth, there's infection underneath. They have to do all kinds of surgeries and stuff for her and her husband.
Wow.
And she did some of the meditations that I've taught her, and the next day, when she woke up, a big loud voice said, "Second opinion."
Ah.
And so she got her husband, said, no, let's go get a second opinion. They went to another dentist, and the dentist said that with the second opinion, no, everything's perfect.
Now, is that because
Nothing.
the first dentist might have been trying to get over
To do
them?
something on that level,
Yeah.
for someone to do it like that, that is very dangerous, risking your license, risking your reputation.
True.
To do something like that to a husband and wife.
Yes.
So, infinite possibilities. Is that one possibility? Absolutely yes. What's another possibility? That they were in an alternate timeline, that was happening, and that was their diagnosis, and then they shifted reality for the next day or whenever they got their second opinion, gone. But the other reality is that she also healed it overnight, using what I taught her. You can go on and on, infinite possibilities, but I'm letting you know that it was gone. Perfect. Not a cavity, no infection, nothing.
Wow.
And as I'm talking to her, she's telling me that, I'm walking through I'm on the sidewalk, and the whole field of these white bugs.
I was going to say,
the exact ones that and I've never seen them in my whole life in these realities, but now what she was talking about, what she was referring to, I'm now, as I'm talking to her about these reality shifts and what's going on, I'm walking through all of these little white bugs
Wow.
that were not there, but now they are. I'm in that reality now.
By now they're gone. For her, I
We didn't
guess.
get rid of them. It's really not important. It
Yeah.
was just an important confirmation, again, that nothing is real. Everything is real. Be careful of your conversations. Be careful of your thoughts. Be careful of your words. You are the creator. Do not hold on to limitations. Do not hold on to negative thought patterns. Forgiveness. Do it now. Forgive everyone everywhere. Forgive yourself. Raise your frequencies and vibrations. And again, just by forgiving, you're making the world a better place. Then by channeling pure love, healing energy to everyone everywhere, you're making the world a better place. And of course, you're raising your frequencies and vibrations.
At that point, you can go on beyond the other side.
Right. You'll have the awareness that if you do pass before the technology, if you're in a timeline, before the technology is released, if you're in a timeline where you didn't ascend to the highest levels, where you're regenerating yourself or teleporting or anything like that, if you're in the timeline where you do pass, if you've done the work to this point that you pass, you won't get trapped in the soul trap. You'll move beyond the other side to true source energy, and you'll be able to travel the multiverse as your true, infinite, eternal, divine self.
And when that happens, are you no longer a part of this earth? You just went on, body and soul?
So, it's up to you. You can
I
come
mean,
back and
people
help.
have done
So
it.
there's some of us that have come back to help others that are having a very difficult time
What-
getting out of the trap.
If that other person says, "Hey, I thought you died. What are you doing here?"
And that also happens. So there are realities, and I have students that have loved ones or friends that have passed away. They've went to the funeral, and then 10, 20 years later,
Bump into them on
they
the
bump
street.
into them and like, oh no, like, yeah, we've always been in contact. We've always been in touch. It happens.
I'll bet, but a lot of people might like faint at the thought.
Perhaps. And then some people, when reality shifts like that, some people just brush it off and say, wow, I must be going crazy, or I must remember it wrong. And they don't want to sound crazy, so they don't even bring it up.
Well, just like
But when I talk about it, it gives them that freedom to say, yeah, this happened to me, that happened to me. So,
people that have died, and 10 years later they're showing up, and I said, but that person died in the 80s, and now it's
like Mandela, the Mandela effect.
exactly.
Yep.
That's what I was trying to
Absolutely.
remember his name. They thought he died in the 80s, but in the 90s he's showing up. So you think that's what it was? I guess you do.
There's another timeline, another reality, and there's infinite realities, infinite timelines. So Nelson Mandela, he died in the 80s in prison. He was released in the 90s. He became president of South Africa. He died in the 2000s. He died 2010, 2011, 2012, 2016, 2017.
But aren't people saying, hey, I thought he died last year?
A lot of people say it. And then some people are in those realities where he didn't die yet. Some people are in the realities like, oh, wait, didn't he die last year? Wait, didn't he die 2 years ago?
Could he be around
Absolutely.
now?
Very possible.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's infinite. Nothing is real. Everything is real. It's your choice. Knowing that it's your choice, what are you going to choose?
I would hope to choose where I could do this and go on to this infinite reality.
Well, don't hope to choose. Actually choose and do the work to make it so. And what is the work? The work is forgiving. Because I know you like to say some people do such evil things, you want them to go to hell. You want them to suffer.
Well, you know what? There are people that deserve to.
No, wait, there we go again. So once you move beyond people deserving whatever it is, once you move beyond that, your frequencies and vibrations will lift, your awareness will expand, and you'll be able to, oh, back pain? What back pain? It's gone like this.
You see, one of my biggest things on this earth is not to make animals suffer, especially when it's because you're enjoying it or something.
Well, some of those people are evil that do that.
That's what I'm saying. All right, so the evil people, what about them?
What about them?
They're evil.
Okay. Most people that you would think are evil, they're operating on bad programming. They're operating on the cycles of dysfunction, the cycles of abuse. They're not really evil. They're just operating on bad programming, doing very bad things. Is there evil? Absolutely. And those are the people with no conscience. Some people have no soul. So
Really? How could they
all
walk
depends.
around with no soul? Once the soul leaves, your body dies, right?
So most people are in realities where the controllers of this world do not have souls. They're unable. They're incapable of creating. They're incapable of imagining things, and that's why they keep you and the population creating for them, creating the dense, the negative, so that they can continue to exist. You, as a living woman, you have created so much that you're unaware of. A lot of times, because again, what you imagine, you create, and so a lot of children that are abused don't intentionally create these dark entities, but dark entities are created from that abuse.
Yeah.
And
'Cause it's all
they
negative.
will fight for their anything created will fight for its continued existence. So, and I've come across them many times on the astral plane. Those creatures created from that pain and suffering, guilt and shame of a mass collection of severely abused children. So
That I can't
and they will
understand
fight
either.
for their continued existence.
Abusing animals, abusing children, abusing the elderly, which happens every day.
But again, once you let go and you truly forgive, it is a beautiful world. It's a beautiful world for everyone. And I'm not going to put blame on you and say that you're holding us back right now. But once you forgive, I know eventually you're going to say, no one deserves to go to hell. No one deserves it. And by the way, there is no such thing as hell.
Well, what about somebody like Hitler?
Okay, so,
The
okay.
exception to the rule?
Someone like Hitler, do you think he did what they claim he did? Were you there? Do you know?
I wasn't there, but there's a lot of pictures and film and all kinds of stuff that proves it.
Okay, so I'm not saying anything either way. I'm saying there are infinite possibilities, infinite realities, infinite timelines. If all of our history is a lie, all of our textbooks are all lies, maybe there's some little truths here and there, everything is a lie. They want you to know or believe what they want you to believe, what they want you to create. Have you ever been accused of something you didn't do?
I'm sure.
Oh, well,
I can't remember any specific.
so if you've
I
ever
get
been
accused of stuff that not only did I not do it, but it never happened. Period.
Right, but you've been accused of it.
Yes, yes.
Right, and
it's happened.
is that a nice feeling? No, absolutely not. And now
No.
think about those people that are accusing you
Yeah,
and then
where'd they
telling
get that
other
from?
people.
Yeah.
Now you have a whole group of people
Who believe
looking at you
something.
and thinking that karma should get you and you should be punished because of what you did to this person. Meanwhile, you didn't do it. You have pure intentions.
I don't even know this person.
There you go. And how many people are delusional and they make up crazy things?
Oh, that's true.
So
That's true.
so again, you don't know what anyone's done, but giving them forgiveness, whether they've done it or not, you give them forgiveness. You don't have, well, you should set them free. Give them pure love, pure positive intentions and energy from source, which is pure love.
Which is God.
Infinite God energy. Absolutely.
In other words, you can ask God to
Which
forgive
is-
this person too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sure.
No one. And by the way, when you're saying hell, for the most part, for most people, Earth is hell. Other than that, there is no hell
Well,
beyond
yeah,
this.
true. There were
This
times
is
that
where
I
the pain
believed
and
it was
suffering is.
purgatory or something too. Yes.
This is where the pain and the suffering is.
That's right.
So,
Yes, it's true. I believe that.
and for a lot of people, purgatory is the other side with the soul trap. That's where the purgatory is.
I see.
Other than that,
In the
There is no
meantime, this has been one of the most interesting conversations I've ever had with a guest. In
Oh, thank
over
you.
25 years of doing this show.
Well, thank you very much.
No, really, you've had my complete attention, let me tell you. And I want to thank you for being here and for all the information. And I hope that our audience is able to absorb a lot of this. Watch the show over and over again, because every time you watch, you'll get probably more out of it. In the meantime, I want to say thank you. Thank you so much. And
Well,
have a
thank you
good
again
night.
for having me.
Have a good night, everybody. That was wonderful. That was.